Welcome to Sugar Coated Murder Podcast, a brilliant true crime podcast hosted by two zany sisters, all while baking up delicious treats in their kitchen. Here are your podcast hosts, Karen Devaney and Ann Varner.
Well, Sugar,
we've done it.
Here we are.
Oh my God.
How did we do this?
Video.
It's the craziest thing. Yeah.
We're back. We're not lost.
Back.
Nobody took us. We didn't get kidnapped.
No.
Thanks for checking.
Thanks for checking on us. Yeah. No, we've just been really busy, guys. We've got 2 books going at the same time. That's a huge undertaking.
It's way bigger than we ever thought.
Yeah. So stick with us. As you can see, we're trying to liven up some things. So now you'll start to see us on video, which we're completely uncomfortable with.
I don't know if that's livening up things.
I don't know. It's something. It's something in the nut.
Remember when we first started? Oh God, I've got to sneeze.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
Yay.
Yay.
First sneeze on the video, because we're not editing, guys. Sorry.
Oh.
No, we're not editing.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I mean, it'll take me 2 months to get a thing out of a thing, whatever the thing is. Oh, wait. I just realized. Oh, no. I'll cut that part out. That part I'll edit.
What part?
The part of me saying, hold on, because I thought I needed to have Audacity, but I don't, because it's going to give me a video
and an audio. Okay.
So I'm good. See, we're just newbies in this little space. So anyway, you will still hear us on the same platforms we've always been on, but we are also going to be on YouTube video, because that's where the kids hang out these days, I think.
I don't know where they hang out, but I'm told YouTube is the thing to do. So
I guess people want to see our faces to connect with us.
I don't know. Are we connecting?
I don't feel connected.
Are we connecting?
Do you all feel connected to us?
Do I need to tap my fingernails and make you feel comfortable?
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. I mean, why the hell not?
Yeah. I mean, when we first started recording, our recordings were terrible, and then they got better.
Right. And so just expect that to happen now, because we are, trying to work it out. We're trying to work it out in real time.
Because we don't have a production team, damn it.
Gosh, and that's our problem. We need assistants, production people, hair and makeup, wardrobe. Like, we need a staff. Yeah. And we don't have a staff.
We don't have a staff. We just have each other.
We just have each other, unless y'all want to buy us like 5,000 coffees, and then we might be able to afford it.
Oh my God. That may work.
That's the only way I can think of.
It's still a very small budget.
It's still very small. Yeah, that'll get us like 2 episodes or something.
I don't know, maybe.
Until we start getting some sponsors, we're looking for sponsors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we haven't done an episode since July.
It's
so we're going to be a
criminal.
Little rusty.
Very rusty. And I have this really horrible habit, because I'm such a fidgety person, of doing this with my nose all the time. Right. And my glasses never feel like they're in the right place. And so I do a lot of squinting. Like, people are going to see the real me.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, girl, you got a whole hot mess issue going on.
I know.
So, but it's okay.
It's all good.
It's okay, guys. It's fun. It's
fine. We are
fine.
Fine.
We're okay. We're going to be okay.
Quirks and twitches and whatnot.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Our bad posture. It's all right out there for all of you to see. So I feel real connected.
Yes. The only thing we haven't figured out yet is how to show someone baking.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a second. We have a second camera. We just have to get perhaps a second laptop.
Yeah.
Or something. We need a second.
We need a second something.
Or just a production team to come in here and work it out for us. So
a second camera.
Yeah.
And would be.
Yeah. And that way we'll have it. Yeah. So, but you did some baking.
Yes. I thought I was all ready to do the baking. And then I found out we couldn't record the baking. So I was like, well, why am I going to bake again?
True.
But I thought, here's what I did. I did it. I thought that I had discovered something brilliant. I thought, for sure, this is it. I've created a recipe.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. I was thinking about how the holidays are coming up, and
that's true.
My son loves sugar cookies. Those are his favorites. So I was like, okay, well, I'd like to make some sugar cookies. Well, then I started thinking about when I was a little kid, somebody brought me a roll of sugar cookie dough as a gift. And what a great hostess gift.
It's a great
A
hostess
roll
gift.
of sugar
Yeah.
cookies is, even at Thanksgiving, because you can technically freeze it. And it will keep until it's time to slice those cookies for Christmas.
And here's the other thing with Christmas rolls, with cookie rolls.
Mhm.
You can, if you don't want to slice them, you can roll that out and do your cookie cutters
Oh yeah, absolutely.
with the sugar cookie dough too.
Yes.
So yeah.
So
that's an
I
idea.
thought, oh my gosh, I learned how to do the brown butter thing this past year. So why don't we do brown butter sugar cookies?
Yeah.
Those are going to be delicious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I started I found my favorite sugar cookie recipe and I started putting it together. And then I had a couple questions about the liquid, because when you brown butter, it's a liquid. Do I need to let it solidify? Because if you've got melty butter when you make cookies, sometimes your cookies will come out flat, and I didn't want my cookies to come out flat. So I did some Googling. Well, there are like 50 recipes for brown butter sugar cookies.
So you weren't about to make something up.
Didn't
It was
discover it.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
So
We'll have to keep working on it, because surely there's some kind of a recipe we can discover.
I don't know, maybe.
Besides a recipe for disaster, which is usually the one we discover.
Correct.
Yeah.
Here's the nice thing about this recipe though. Another thing I learned this year, I learned a lot this past year.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Is that you can scoop your cookies so for this recipe, I rolled my cookies into balls and put them in the refrigerator to let them kind of harden up so they wouldn't be flat. Well, if you don't want to bake them right away, you can stick them in your freezer. And when you're ready to bake them, pull them out and bake them frozen. You just add a minute or so onto the time and voila. So how fun would it be to take a little jar filled with sugar cookie balls?
Oh, cute.
As a hostess gift. I think that would be lovely.
Frozen, are you going to freeze them?
Yeah, you can freeze them.
That's cool.
You take them over, and then whenever they want them, they pull one out, two out, whatever. But then you've already got the balls.
They can have one as a truffle, which is what I would do.
Right, exactly.
Mama's having sugar cookie truffles. Leave her alone.
So there you go. That's my almost famous recipe.
That's good though.
It's just a basic sugar cookie recipe, only you do brown butter instead of regular butter.
Yeah.
Your dough does come out a little greasy. This one called for 2 sticks of butter.
Wow.
So good.
So this is more like a butter sugar cookie.
It's a butter sugar cookie.
A sugared butter cookie.
Yes. And you just bake them at 350 for like 12 minutes, however long. I don't know if you'd like a soft cookie, a crisp cookie.
I like them crisp around the edges and soft in the middle.
Correct. Me too.
So I don't know how to always achieve that.
So that's what I would be baking right now if we had video to show me baking.
That's true.
I already baked them, and later we'll get to try one.
I am excited.
I'm sure. But in the meantime,
mm-hmm.
Do you have a murder?
I have a murder. That's
really good, because this is Sugar Coated Murder Podcast. So.
Yeah, so you took care of the sugar coating, and now it's my turn to bring up a murder.
Zap it on in.
I'm gonna zap it, girl. I'm gonna zap it. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about Stacy Hendrickson, and this is taking place in 1992 in Tempe, Arizona.
Okay,
out there in the Arizona. So Stacy was a student at University of Arizona in Tempe, and her roommate had gone to see her mom overnight to go visit her mother, and Stacy was at home alone. I'm sorry, I just kicked the wall. That's just part of the new video. So anyway, when the roommate got back, she realized through some different events that Stacy was missing.
Oh.
She was kind of worried about her. And when Stacy had been gone for like a few hours, like a long few hours, the roommate was like, well, I don't think that she went anywhere overnight because her insulin is still in the fridge, and she would not ever leave home without her insulin kit.
Right. Okay.
So she was like, I really think something might be wrong. the day went on and she just wasn't hearing anything from her. This is 1992, so there were no cellular devices that I don't think, or if there were, they were very rudimentary. You couldn't track somebody's whereabouts. Rudimentary. That's what happens when you're on video. Excuse me. Oh my heavens. So anyway, Stacy was nowhere to be found, and she was concerned about the medicine being left behind. So the roommate called Stacy's father, whose name is Raleigh. Now don't get confused. His name is Raleigh. He lives in Ohio.
Oh,
Ohio.
okay. Raleigh lives in Ohio.
He lives in Toledo. I know.
Not North Carolina.
No.
And this takes place in Arizona.
Yes.
Perfect.
I know. Not confusing at all. So anyway, she let him know that she was concerned that she had not heard from Stacy. So Raleigh, who lived in Toledo, Ohio at the time, called the university police to let them know that his daughter was missing, that the roommate had called him, she can't find her, and they're really concerned because of the diabetic medicine or the diabetes medicine. I don't think the medicine is diabetic. It could be though.
I don't know anymore.
Hello, video. I'm stumbling. Okay. Anyway, we're rusty. It's okay. We're fine, guys. We're okay.
Everybody's fine.
Everybody's good.
Yeah. Except
what's the number to my therapist?
The barrier. He's not happy right now.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to get over himself. So the police go over to Stacy's apartment to go talk to the roommate. They start looking around and they notice signs of forced entry in the apartment. So this really throws the roommate off. And they start processing the apartment as a crime scene.
Right.
Well, as they're doing that, they feel like foul play has happened. And like there are no sheets on the bed. But the roommate was like, that's unusual because she makes her bed every day.
Oh no.
But there was no blood, like they didn't see any blood. They didn't, like there wasn't like a big like huge blood spatter on the ceiling or anything.
It didn't look murderous.
But it definitely looked foul play-ish.
Okay.
Bliss. So days go by. Isn't that it's a song. No, we don't do that on video. Okay. Raleigh is beside himself.
Okay.
Absolutely beside himself. His neighbors were worried for him. They kept in constant contact with him, praying for him, praying with him, asking him for updates. So a friend of Raleigh's came up with a really far out man idea and ran it past him. She asked Raleigh if he would consider speaking to a friend of hers who happens to be a psychic medium.
Okay.
Well, Raleigh was pretty desperate at this point. So he reluctantly agreed, even though he never really had believed in the abilities of a psychic medium. He just thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. He thought it was campy and performative.
Okay.
They really didn't have these special powers.
To each his own.
Exactly. But he also said, I have no other leads.
Right.
So I'm not going to turn down the opportunity to maybe talk to this lady and see what she thinks.
Right.
So the friend brought over a lady named Gail St. John, who was a medium in the local Toledo area. So Gail had never been to Tempe or anywhere in Arizona before, ever. But yeah, I know Trout. So
he's breaking through the barrier.
He broke through the barrier.
Good.
It's fine. So as she is talking to Raleigh, she starts to get a really uneasy feeling. And so she had the really unpleasant task of telling Raleigh that his daughter had actually passed away.
Oh no.
And of course he was shocked, absolutely shocked. He had never allowed his brain to go there to think that she was that something horrible had happened, like that, like death. Like, so he's thinking she's lost, or, maybe she's being held somewhere against her will, but his brain had never let him think about the ultimate. And so she actually had to break it to him. And then she said, once he gained his composure, he said, okay, just tell me what you know. So she told him that what she was seeing is that she's seeing a big building near some water. And he said, is Stacy in the building? And she said, no, but she's near the building. I think she's outside the building near the water or in the water. And so she started describing this scene in Arizona. And he was baffled, of course, because he's like, how is she describing things in a state she's never been to?
Right.
So she starts describing it. And she also talks about this cracked earth. She kept seeing this dry, barren dirt that was compacted and cracked.
Okay.
Lots of cracks. And she just kept seeing it and kept saying there's cracked earth, there's dirt, there's with cracks in it. And so she said she's somewhere near this cracked dirt. So he was like, so anyway, he called the police and he said, you're not gonna believe what I've done. I've gone to see a psychic medium and she's told me some things, and I do with it what you want. Here's what she said. She had also told him that Stacy had been attacked in her apartment and taken out and killed with a gunshot wound to the back of her head.
Oh, no.
And so he's telling the police this, and the police are like, well, is she a suspect?
Right.
Like, how does she know your daughter? And he's like, she doesn't.
Right.
So then they're like, what do we do with this information? Well, in the meantime, back in Arizona, the police are still searching for her and decided that they needed to interview the neighbors in Stacy's apartment building.
Oh, that makes sense.
I agree.
I mean,
so yes.
That would have maybe been my first step.
Yeah. So they went to talk to the neighbor across the hall from the apartment, and the neighbor said he's never going to get neighbor of the year, this guy. So he says that he had
He's not happy.
He doesn't like the video.
He's not a fan of the video.
He's not a fan of the podcast, honestly, guys. So anyway, he said around 2:00 in the morning, he heard some noise out in the hallway. So he looked through his peephole. He saw a youngish white male with a baseball cap and a very specific black t-shirt that he described very specifically in detail. And he said that guy came up and was pounding on their door and like pounding, trying to get in. He kept trying the lock, and he kept trying to use his shoulder to pop the door open. And he said, after a few minutes, the guy just backed up and gave the door a swift kick, and the door popped open. He said, so I figured it was just a lover's quarrel. So I went to bed.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that nice? So now they're like, okay, well, at least we have a suspect. And they had dusted the front door for fingerprints, and they were able to recover a few really good fingerprints off of that door.
Oh, good.
Yep. So okay, everybody, just a minute. Okay, we got it. So after meeting with Gail and calling the police, Raleigh gives them all this information. They now have this information from the neighbor saying there was a guy that was there. And then they've got this psychic telling them, I think I know where she is. And so when he describes to the detective this area that supposedly Stacy is there, he said, I feel like I might know this place. The detective did.
Okay.
And he said, we don't have any other leads to go on. I'm just going to follow up with this lead. And at the same time, in the back of his head, he's like, and I'm going to check out this lady because I think she might be involved somehow, because he didn't believe in it either. So he goes out where he thought Gail was describing, and he starts walking around, and he notices a lot of the details that Gail had given to Raleigh. Like there was something about a fence, and it was like this big metal building and a conveyor. There was a conveyor belt near it and a body of water. So he's walking around.
There's cracked dirt.
He's walking around.
For the love of God, let there be cracked dirt.
Right. Right. Well, there was.
Oh my God.
He's walking around and he looks down and he's like, oh my God, that's cracked dirt.
Not cracked dirt.
It's cracked dirt, not dirt crack.
No.
It's cracked dirt or cracked earth, whatever. Cracked earth. That's a great band name, Cracked
Earth.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
So lo and behold, he goes and really starts searching around and notices there was a body.
A body.
Right, that had kind of come out of the shoreline and was kind of up on the banks and very, very badly decomposed, very badly. So, but he also was able to notice when the coroner came out there and they were removing the body, that there was a hole in the back of this skull.
Oh man.
He also recovered 3 diamond earrings.
3
diamond earrings. And so he scooped those up as evidence and he called Raleigh on the phone and said, we have found a body. It's very decomposed. We're going to have to use dental records to identify the body. Can you just get on a plane and come on? And so Raleigh was like, yeah, I guess I'll head to Arizona. So he heads to Arizona, and a couple days later, so Raleigh gets into Arizona. He meets with the police chief. They're waiting, for the results of the identification. And the police detective gives him the 3 diamond stud earrings. And Raleigh said, I bought those 3 earrings for her just 2 months ago.
Oh.
She had several holes in one ear.
Right.
And so he had bought her graduated diamond studs to put in her ear, like the one ear.
Oh.
So, so he was like, was she wearing these? And he said, the body that we found was actually missing an ear, but this was near the body.
Oh.
So it probably, her ear had probably decomposed and fell off. Well, I mean, you're talking about Arizona, so it's very hot. And then when a body is in water, it decomposes so much faster.
Oh.
So it's very difficult. So finally, they identify the body and it is confirmed to be Stacy. So then they get a phone call from Gail a couple days later. And Gail is frantic.
Oh.
The lead detective needs to know what she has now. She either got a message or a vision or a feeling.
Right.
And so she tells the detective, the killer is going to strike again.
Oh,
and he's going to kill Stacy's roommate.
Oh, no.
And she said, you have to find the roommate because she's not safe. He's going to kill her and he's going to kill her tonight.
Oh.
So the police detective was like, is this woman a crackpot? Like, what's happening? And she also went on to say, this attacker is very mild-mannered. He's almost introverted. He's soft-spoken. He's very pleasant, but he has a switch. And when it flips, he gets very violent very quickly. And he's going to also attack you, detective.
Uh-oh.
He's like, okay, now she's like off her rocker. But he said, whatever, let's go find the roommate. So they go track down the roommate. And she starts talking to them, but he can tell she's holding back. And he's like, what the hell? Your roommate died. Like, give us whatever information. So he had taken Polaroid pictures out at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts telling her this story about this psychic, telling Raleigh all these details about where Stacy might be.
Right.
And so as he's telling her, he starts putting the Polaroids down of all these places.
Oh no.
Of the scene, the cracked earth, there was a fence, the conveyor belt. Yes. And he said, the psychic actually gave us these details before we even saw anything. And by the way, we found Stacy's body. It was here.
Right.
So the psychic was right. And he said, and the psychic called today and let us know that the attacker is going to kill you tonight.
Oh no.
And she was like, oh my God. So the blood drains from her face. And she said, you need to check on John. You need to check out this guy, John. And he was like, who's John? And she said, his name is John. She wasn't sure of his last name. They had met him at a restaurant a couple of weeks before. He works at the restaurant, but they had just started hanging out with him.
Right.
And she said, he's the only person that I can think of that would have come over. And she was like, I have a date with him tonight. Dun, dun, dun. So obviously the cops were like, you shouldn't go on that date.
Don't do that.
So they went to the restaurant to go talk to John. and they find John, and John is so cooperative. He's very cooperative.
Of course he is.
Yes. And very mild-mannered, very sweet guy, soft-spoken. He goes outside to talk to the detective. And he's like, I do know the girls. I've met them. I can't imagine what happened to Stacy. I don't even know where they live.
Oh.
So I don't really know what could have happened. And so the police were like, well, we really appreciate your help. And is there any way you could give us your fingerprints? And then if we can fingerprint you, then you could you could join our forces and you could help us try to figure out where Stacy is. Right. The guy was like, oh yeah, I'm happy to help.
Absolutely.
Gives him the full set of prints.
Oh my gosh.
They are an exact match to the prints on the door of Stacy's. So they're like, okay. So once they figure out they're an exact match, they go back and they get a search warrant for the guy's home.
Okay.
They find the very specific black t-shirt that the neighbor had described in his house.
Oh man. So
they're like, this is our guy. So they arrest him and take him down to interview him. And when he was there, it took a couple hours of him denying everything. And at one point, he just kind of dropped his head and started to weep and said, I killed her.
Oh.
I killed her. And so the detective is trying to push him for details, like what happened? Why did you do it? Where did you take her? Where did you attack her? This kind of stuff. And he did. So this is what he says. He says that he was planning to kill himself that night and had gone over to the girl's apartment, hoping that they were there and would talk him out of killing himself.
Oh, that makes sense.
But he had to break down the door, which pissed him off.
Of course.
And then when he got...
That's what you have to do when you're suicidal.
Yes, break down the door to somebody else's apartment.
Oh
so he said, I broke down the door and then I found Stacy alone and things just kind of went bad from there.
Oh, it went bad.
Yeah. So what the police think is no matter what his agenda was, once he got there and realized that Stacy was alone, he decided he was going to probably have sex with her and she didn't agree to it.
Right.
And then there was a struggle. He shot her in the back of the head at her apartment and just took all of the bed linens and covered her up and pulled her out of that apartment. And that's why there was no blood, because he did it so quickly.
Oh, I see.
Very quickly. And then he dropped her at this place. But what this conveyor belt does is it pulls water and silt and dirt and stuff up from the water, and it separates the dirt out, and then it puts the water back. And so they think that somehow she might have gotten processed through this as well. That's why she was so beaten up. So as he's talking to the guy, and the guy is describing like what happened and everything, out of nowhere, the guy literally jumps up and jumps on the detective and starts attacking him.
Oh my gosh.
Just like Gail said. Said. She's amazing. Gail. She's awesome.
She knows things.
Yeah. So they end up arresting him. His name is John Barry Adams. And
John Adams?
John Adams. It's very interesting. I'm just saying. So anyway, he was convicted of kidnapping, murder, and attempted rape of Stacy. Well, it was kidnapping, murder, and murder in the commission of a felony,
right? Which
they feel like was probably sexual assault. And he ended up getting 20. He was eligible for 30 years in prison, and he got 29. Why not just give him the 30? Like, what is that? That's like a slap in the face.
I don't understand why. Somebody someday will have to help me understand this. But to me, if you murder somebody that way, you shouldn't get out after 30 years.
I don't think you should get out.
I think that
this was in 92. A lot of laws have changed in a lot of different states. Like in South Carolina back then, life wasn't life. It was 30 years. Now in South Carolina, life means life. It actually means you don't get out of jail. Exactly. Right. If you go in at the age of 20, and you serve your 30 years, exactly, you can still have children and do all the things. You can still do all the things. All the things that victim that you took off of this earth still can't do.
Right.
So my thing is, when that person rises from the dead and starts living their life that you took from them, that's when you can get out of jail. but that's not what the rules were
That's
back then.
not the rules.
No. So he actually, I couldn't figure out if he had gotten out of jail or not. Oh, that's on video.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I've sneezed and yawned on video.
Dude, that's a video. We just caught her yawning during my story on video.
I'm sorry, it's late. I don't know what to tell you.
It
Look
ain't
how
that
dark
late.
it is.
It's very dark.
dark.
It's very dark. See, pitch black in our studio. So anyway, and so he ended up going to prison, and Gail St. John just went back to living her life as a local psychic in Ohio.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Stacy Gale.
I know, but poor little Stacy, she just was trying to live her best life.
Oh,
I told her to be
I
quiet,
know.
and you told me there was nothing else going on.
There isn't. There must be
An
high
announcement,
tide or something.
whatever. The tide is
No.
Oh, we're on video. Okay, so that's my murder.
Wow.
I know.
That was crazy.
It was crazy, but I love it that it was solved by a psychic.
That's the second one we've had.
Yeah.
I was just reading another one when I was going through some old show notes that we had a psychic solved another murder that we did.
Yeah.
So
I remember it.
trust and believe.
Trust and
I think
believe.
the police force now does rely on them.
A lot more than they used to. And Raleigh did say, he came out and said after the trial and everything was over, he was just like, if it weren't for Gail, I probably would have never known what happened to my daughter. And she saved the life of that roommate.
She sure did.
And he said, I think police need to start paying more attention. If you can vet them and make sure they're credible, then I think that you should start paying attention when psychics, get in touch with you, or, some police departments, they will go seek out a psychic.
Yeah.
But other police departments are like, so they're real dumb. So anyway, that's my murder. And what do you got for me?
Would you care for a cookie?
You damn tootin'.
I mean, these delightful brown butter
Video.
cookies.
Video.
Let me see what that one looks like. Oh, that one turned out really good. I
Yeah,
have some
some of
other
them
ones
Or
where I had a different kind of sprinkle that I used,
whatever.
and it melted into the cookie.
And you
So-
put the sprinkles when they came out?
No, what you do is you
Oh.
roll your ball
You-
and then you dip the top of it in your sprinkle, and then
Okay.
it cooks on.
Okay.
That's why
Well,
it doesn't like.
Yeah,
come
so
off.
that's really cute the way you have it just in that circle
Yeah.
there. Some of them are a little lopsided.
Okay, well, listen,
Mhm.
it's the way I want it.
Girl.
You have to be on video.
On video.
The
Anyway.
magic of video, cookies done.
Very delicious.
I'll share
It's
the
very-
recipe with anybody who wants to.
It's
ask for it.
very buttery.
Isn't it delightful though?
Oh, it's
a
so
cookie
good.
on a whole
It is
different
like
level.
doink, 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 like that.
Yeah.
That's what it
It's a
is.
don't
It's
know
like
what.
sugar cookie. Doink, doink, doink.
Yeah.
And I had to spell that, but if we could, that's what we could call this recipe.
I agree.
It's a dunk, dunk, dunk sugar cookie.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to spell that.
Mhm.
We'll ask one of our computer friends.
Mm.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, definitely somebody smarter than us.
For sure.
Not difficult to find.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, I also wrote a murder, and I am not as good as my sister is.
What do you mean?
She's got it all like memorized, and I know the story, but I'm not confident enough.
Okay.
I feel like I'm gonna get it all right, so I have
It's
to read
because
it.
we have different methods
We
of
have different-
research.
Yeah,
And when I start my research, I find everything I can out on the interwebs.
yeah, I do too.
And then I read all of it before I ever start writing.
I do too. I take the
Oh.
same way, but then I don't retain it.
Okay.
I have to leave it because it's very traumatic.
Okay.
So I have to put it to the side.
I will retain it
I know.
and I will think about it
I know you will,
a lot.
and I can't do that.
And it will, I don't want to, but it will be in my thoughts at night. In the middle of the night, I'll be thinking about her, and I'll be thinking about this guy, and is he out of prison? Why can't I find out if he's out of prison or not? I don't just retain it, I obsess.
Right.
So your way is the better way.
I don't know, but I have to read my stuff because I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to get it wrong. I know. All right. So on December 1st, 1987, Andrew Gustafson, don't try and trick me. It's Gustafson.
You know this for sure?
Yes. He arrived home no, he wasn't from a trip. This is what happened.
Oh, we're starting out with a lie.
He was trying to get in touch with his wife, Priscilla, and she wasn't answering at home.
Oh, Priscilla.
And he worked just down the road.
Did she go by Prissy?
No, I don't believe she
That's
did.
too bad.
I believe she went by Priscilla.
That's too bad,
I
because
love
Prissy
that.
is so cute.
But Priscilla's better. Priscilla at the time was pregnant with their third child. And he was very concerned when she didn't answer, number one, for health reasons, number two, because the Gustafsons' house had actually been burglarized on the 16th of November. So Andrew was like, I'm not really sure what could be going on while she's not answering. The burglar.
And she knows she's not allowed to take a nap.
No naps.
No nap. There's no nap.
The burglar had taken a cable box, is really weird stuff, a remote control, a cordless phone, and some coins from the family's Liberty silver dollar collection.
Not a Liberty silver dollar.
Yeah, some of those were missing.
But only some? He just took the most valuable ones?
Just some. They probably didn't find all of them.
Okay.
You know, sometimes they don't keep them all in one spot. I don't know. Not all of them. But given the recent burglary and the pregnancy, Andrew was like, I think I'm supposed to run home and check.
Sure.
So he goes home. He sees Priscilla's car in the driveway. And now they've got two other children, young children. So he walks in the house expecting, the house to be kind of lively. And it's dead quiet.
Oh, not dead.
Dead quiet. And he said he just got a really eerie feeling. So he called out for Priscilla and the kids, and nobody answered. And he walked upstairs to the bedroom, and he saw Priscilla on their bed with a pillow over her head. And she had obviously been shot in the head. She was dead. So he runs from the house because he couldn't bear the thought that maybe the kids were there somewhere too, because he didn't hear anybody. It was too quiet.
And he didn't want to find his kids.
He did not want to find his kids. So he called the police, told them what he found, and he waited. The police arrive at the house, and they start going room by room looking for the children. They found William, who was 5 years old, face down, drowned in the upstairs bathroom.
No.
They did.
No.
Yeah. They found Abigail, 7 years old, face down in the downstairs bathroom. And Abigail also had trauma to her head and marks on her neck, signifying some sort of strangulation. Investigators went and searched the room where Priscilla was found, and they found semen, what looked like semen on the bedspread. And in the bedroom closet, they found a sock that had been knotted and had some saliva on it, a necktie, another sock, some pantyhose, and stockings, all of which had been knotted and cut, likely had been used as ligatures.
Oh.
There was an open bottle of beer on the table in the bedroom, which was odd because
she pregnant.
She wasn't drinking beer, and a piece of a condom on the floor next to the bed.
What, Rob?
In the kitchen, they found torn up pages from a pornography magazine.
No.
They found some porn magazine torn up.
What was it, the killers or was it the husbands?
It was the killers.
The killer brought his own porn?
I'm thinking he must have. I mean, it may have been the husband, but it's not private. That's private.
That's private.
He's allowed to have it. It's not against the law for him to have it.
No.
Further investigation revealed that Priscilla had been shot close range twice by a .22 caliber gun.
Wow.
She had also been raped.
Aww.
Police immediately suspected that Priscilla had walked in on a robbery in progress that turned into a family annihilation.
Oh.
The number one suspect was a 17-year-old kid who lived in the neighborhood and had a history of daytime home robberies.
Okay.
That makes you wonder, why is he living in the neighborhood? Why is he not somewhere else?
Why does he have a history of that and not in the jail?
The state police headed to the home of Daniel LaPlante. to question him. And they approached his house. And as they came up to the house, Daniel slipped out the back door.
Oh,
Not
man.
at all suspicious.
No, not at all.
Meantime, investigators go looking around the crime scene inside and out, and one of the investigators notices shoe prints in like a little flower bed out in the front of the house. And he also sees that the nameplate that had been on the house had been removed. He could see that a nameplate had been removed.
That's weird.
That was really weird.
Like, who takes a nameplate?
Weirdos. That night, they're doing the investigation. Sun goes down. Yeah. That night, they bring the dogs in. They bring in the dogs.
Bring in the hell.
The dogs pick up on a scent that leads them to the woods. Okay. So they're in the woods. They're looking around. They come across a flannel shirt. Inside the flannel shirt was a pair of soaking wet work gloves and the nameplate.
What's with this nameplate?
Nameplate that said Gustafson.
It's just odd.
Police, as they said, decided that they needed to get a search warrant for Daniel LaPlante's house and yard, which they easily got. They went over and searched the house, and they found a cable box, a remote control, a cordless phone, and some Liberty coins.
Was there a torn condom there?
There was no torn condom. Okay. They also found a .22 caliber gun that had been hidden in the glove box of a broken down car on the property. So they said, okay, I think we might have our guy. A warrant was issued for Daniel and for his arrest, but he wasn't going easy. He wasn't gonna just be like, yep, you're up, you got me. The officers start a big, massive manhunt. Massive. The biggest in history.
In history?
In the history of that town. Okay. Which is I wish I could remember.
Well, we don't know when we don't even know the state.
I think I didn't write the state down.
It's probably inconsequential.
I want to say it was like Connecticut.
All right.
But I'll double check and tell you.
Maybe we'll put that in our show notes.
I don't know why I didn't put the name of the town. Oh, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. You were very close. Connecticut, yeah. Massachusetts, they're practically the same place.
North.
It's really the same place.
Anyway, there was a massive manhunt. It was the biggest in the town's history. These officers are scouring the neighborhoods. They're searching the perimeter. And as this one investigator is out securing a perimeter, a neighbor comes up to him and says, I'm really uncomfortable going into my house. Would you walk me into my house? Because now word has gotten out. They're looking for this kid. Yeah. They suspect that he's raped and murdered this woman and her 2 children. The woman was pregnant. So, the neighbors they're scared.
I don't blame them.
And he said, sure, I will walk you into the house and make sure everything is good. Well, they walk into the house and they hear this loud thud come from the upstairs. And the woman, there was nobody else supposed to be in the house. So the officer grabs his gun and starts to creep up the stairs. And at the top of the stairs, he finds a 16 gauge shotgun. When he calls down to the woman to say, do you have a 16 gauge shotgun? She says, no, that is not mine.
Oh, no.
So he then calls for backup. He's like, I'm going to need some backup.
Yeah, and I'm going to moonwalk right out of here until y'all come help me.
Well, about that time, Daniel jumps out the 2nd-story bedroom window onto the roof of the garage, jumps off the roof into the woods. He goes.
Oh, no.
Gone. He gone again.
He was there again. He was
there in that woman's house. Can you believe it?
That woman has good spidey senses.
Armed. Woo. So they start, scouring the woods and getting the dogs out and everything else. And some calls start coming in that there's a strange guy around the Elm Street area.
Not Elm Street.
There is a nightmare on this Elm Street, girl. I'm telling you. So the police go over to Elm Street. They're again out, doing their thing. And as one officer is going through, he hears somebody screaming. So he runs over to the house, and he knew, this is a small town, so he knew who it was. And he's like, is he in there? Is he in there? And they called back and say, no, but you need to come quick. So he walks in, and this woman that is screaming tells him how she walked into her house and Daniel was in her house.
This guy's got a real problem.
And he held her at gunpoint and demanded that she drive him, or that she get in the car with him so he could drive to get away. He only had his learner's permit, so he needed a licensed driver. I don't know.
Oh, suddenly the law is important.
I don't know.
Maybe he didn't feel comfortable driving.
I don't know.
Still, he didn't get all his hours in yet.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe it was a new learner, so he hadn't really taken driver's ed yet. It was like 2 more weeks and I'll start driver's ed, but can't do it.
Hilda, you're
Going to come with me.
And as she's leaving, her phone rings and he says, "Well, answer it. I don't want somebody to think that you're not here." So she answered it. It was her sister calling to say, "Hey, he's in our neighborhood. Be careful." And so
she was like, "Too late, B."
I know. So she hangs up, gets in the vehicle, off they go. And she very bravely opened the door and rolled out and ran.
As she was driving.
I don't know if she was driving or he was driving.
Okay.
It was not very specific. I would have to assume he was driving and she was the passenger.
I think it'd be really amazing if she were driving.
It would
and then just like rolled out and he's like, stay up.
Let's go.
I didn't start driver's ed yet. I can't drive.
So she says, this is what I was in. This is where he was headed. And the police are like, okay, now we're going to get him.
Getting him.
So they go and they start canvassing that whole area. They found the vehicle and they get the dogs out again. And lo and behold, there's this jackass in a dumpster, hiding in a dumpster. And they very easily take him into custody and arrest him.
Wow.
And take him to jail. All of the evidence that they collected, the semen, the piece of the condom, everything matched Daniel. So there was no question at all. He was 17 when he committed the murder.
What the mother
17 years old.
Fudger.
Yes. He was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole. That sentence was later overturned.
Of course.
And converted to 3 consecutive life sentences with the possibility of parole after 45 years.
Oh, come on.
So that would make it, I think, like 2032, he would be up for parole. Here's the thing that really, really got to me. The year before, it wasn't even a full year. It was several months before this whole Gustafson murder took place. Daniel was involved in another horrific crime. He had connected with this girl his age named Tina, and they went on a blind date. And she felt like he was nice enough, but kind of gave off a weird vibe, didn't want to continue the relationship, just cut things off. Now, Tina lived with her younger sister and her dad. Her mom had passed away several months before. So the family was really going through it. The dad was working several jobs, trying to keep the family going and everybody afloat. So he was not home very often. And I mean, Tina and her sister were old enough to stay at home alone. But weird things started happening around the house. Like they would hear banging noises. Things would get moved. Like they would leave the room and come back and there'd be glass on the table, but it wasn't there before. So they thought for sure the house was haunted. And they told their dad several times, we're pretty sure the house was haunted.
Wonder if they thought their mom was haunting
them. They did. They really did. They actually tried to have a seance one night to connect with her because they thought maybe it was her. And sometimes the TV would change channels.
That's unbelievable.
For no reason. And the girls were really scared.
That is like horror movie type stuff.
Yeah. So one night, I think one of them went into the bathroom or went upstairs or something, and there was something written on the wall and it looked like it was written in blood. It was red.
Oh, wow.
So the girls run out of the house to the neighbor's house because the dad's working. And the neighbor calls the police and the police come. It was ketchup that had been used, but somebody had written something on the wall. Right. Like, come find me, or I'm in your house, come find me. It was something really, really
I'm telling you, you could make a movie of this.
For real. I'm pretty sure they might have.
I mean, seriously.
And so the dad was like, I don't know if these girls are trying to play tricks on me to try and get my attention. I'm not really sure what's happened, but he kind of blew it off. The police took the report and
come on, Dad,
done with their day.
Pay attention.
So several nights later, and this actually went on for months, several nights
Those
later.
poor girls.
The girls come around a corner and there's a picture of them and there's a knife and the picture is stuck to the wall. And it said, "I'm going to kill you," in that same red handwriting. So again, the girls run out. The dad comes home. He's like, "I don't know what's happening." The dad walks in. He sees 2 champagne glasses with champagne in it sitting on a table. And he knows, like, there's somebody in my house.
Oh,
So he calls the police and says, "There is somebody in my house." So the police come and they look all over that house and they're like, "We're not seeing anybody in your house. I don't
what in the
understand what the problem
world?
is." And this one police officer goes downstairs to the basement
Oh, it's
where
always the basement.
where there's an area where like the washer and dryer is. And he just happens to notice that there's kind of like a dummy wall that has a space between it and then another wall. And he looks over and hidden underneath a bunch of laundry is Daniel.
He was
Daniel
in that house.
has been living in the house terrorizing these people for months. For months, he did this to them.
Why? Where were his parents?
I'm not real sure they kept a real good eye on Daniel. And Daniel had been in trouble before. He was not a good kid. He had been in a lot of trouble.
Keep up with your children.
Yeah. So the police arrested him. He was taken to jail. He's 16 at the time.
Oh gosh.
Right. And the judge lets him out on $10,000 bond. Like,
way to go, judge.
So he's out on bail when he commits this murder. And that's frustrates me.
That really stews my tomatoes.
But because it's part of his juvenile record, I was like, why aren't they doing something about it?
Because he's a juvenile, but it doesn't matter. Those are, first of all, he's escalating.
Oh, he is escalating.
And
Absolutely.
so that right there, red flag, escalating. No, we have to do more than just let you out on your own after bond. And we have to treat you like an adult, not like a kid who's just being spontaneous.
These are adult crimes.
They're very much adult crimes.
Right. So this poor family actually sold their house and moved. The dad, it cost him like thousands, $30,000 to pick up and move.
I'm sure, but you would have to. Those poor girls, they would never feel safe in that house again.
They wouldn't. And when this whole thing went down with the Gustafson murder, somebody called Tina's dad and said, "I want you to know he's out and they suspect, like, they're trying to catch him, but like, be careful of where you are." And he actually took his children, went into hiding. They were terrified that he was going to come in. This just destroyed them.
Oh my gosh.
So that really was.
And this was how long before the other lady got murdered, Priscilla?
It was less than a year. It was the year before, like in 1986, but it was less than a year between the two.
That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
See, I get really mad at this stuff. And then I think, whoever made this decision to let that kid out on the street needs to be held accountable for the damages that he caused whilst.
And I feel certain that judge probably had a tremendous amount of guilt.
I would like to find out his name and I would like to call him and ask him.
I'm sure.
You feel guilty, buddy?
I'm sure.
Do you feel any guilt at all? Because I'm going to need to know.
Exactly. So Priscilla was a nursery school teacher. Her husband Andy was a lawyer.
He lost his whole family,
and he had actually just closed on a big deal, which is why he was trying to get in touch with Priscilla. He was going to see if maybe she could get a babysitter and they could go out and celebrate. And instead, he went home to and walked into a nightmare.
Horror.
But Andy has moved on, and he has since remarried.
Okay, Andy.
And he still wears his wedding ring from his marriage to Priscilla on his right hand because he never wants to forget that first family that he had.
I mean, they were just ripped from him.
Ripped. And back in that age, back in 1986,
the Stone Age.
Back in the Stone Age. In 1987, they probably didn't have the same laws they have now. There was no charge for the murder of that unborn child.
Oh, yeah,
And I
but
think today that would probably be different.
probably.
And I don't understand why it wasn't capital murder, but I
I-
guess because of his
be-
age.
Yeah, and because probably capital murder, I think, is premeditated. And I think that now he could have gotten murder and then that whole murder while committing a felony.
Oh,
A
right.
felony, not a felony. I don't know
Not
what
a
a felony
felony.
is. That's like a melody.
Melody felony.
It's a melody felony, guys.
Felony.
Something else for the dictionary that one day we will release that's just our vernacular only.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is the tragic story.
Well, R.I.P. Priscilla and her babies.
Abigail and William.
And then the unborn.
And the unborn baby.
Just a horrible thing.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Some punk ass kid neighbor.
I'm telling you. Punk ass.
Punk ass.
And I have an issue with his parents. Sorry, I know you're not supposed to blame the parents for the behavior of the kid, but keep up with where your kid is.
That he committed during this time period. There were several home burglaries that he was involved in.
If that's your kid, keep him under lock and key. Take notice if he's not spending the night in his bed.
You and I would definitely do, but I do feel like that the law should take some ownership in that as well.
I agree. I think
he
that
should have been in juvenile detention or some home for wayward boys or something. He should not have been out.
He should have been under supervision, heavy supervision.
I agree.
So, wow.
I know. My God, it's very heavy. I need a cookie.
Yeah, well, they're good. I finished mine whilst you were narrating your story. So, guys, here we are.
We did it.
It's us. Video. So, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us, subscribe, watch us. If you don't want to watch us, just put it on and play it and then don't look at the screen because we get it.
Listen to us in your car. You don't have to look at the screen.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, you're missing an awful lot. I'm not looking at the screen.
Exactly. But we need subscribers on our YouTube. And I think our YouTube channel is called Sugar Coated in the House.
Well, that's really important. You got it.
I'll put it in the show notes, but you won't know where to find us. So I'll definitely put it on social media what the real name of it is, because it's been so long since I set it up with this idea of us doing video, and then we were like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So I think I called it Sugar Coated in the House, but I'll definitely let people know.
Yeah.
I'll call each and every one of you.
Everyone. Hello.
Just send me your phone number.
In the house, y'all.
Send me your phone number. I'll call each of you and let you know personally where it is, because that's what I do.
You can always email us if you couldn't find it.
We really need listener email, guys. We need to know, did we go too long and we don't have any more listeners?
Well, if we don't, we will. They'll come back.
I agree. I just need to know, is anybody out there?
Oh,
there.
There we go. Yeah. They're out there. They're wondering where the hell we've been.
I know. Well,
we went missing
and now we're back.
We're back.
So we love you guys, and we're happy to be back. We're happy to be in our sugar-coated studio right here in the house.
Oh, it's very sophisticated.
It's so sophisticated. You don't even know the technology it took to do this.
No idea.
So, but we love you. We're happy to be back. We're happy to be behind the mic again, in front of the camera.
We'll remind you
in the kitchen, baking and doing this again.
Remind you that if you kill people,
we will talk about you. Wait, what's the rest of it? Stay sweet and don't murder. If you kill people,
we will talk about you.
That's the one. That's the one right there. The original. That's the original tagline.
And stay sweet and don't murder.
That's it too. Whatever. Peace out.
We love you. Bye. Have a good week.
This has been Sugar Coated Murder Podcast, a deliciously entertaining true crime podcast. Like what you heard? You can always explore past episodes by visiting sugarcoatedpod.com. Don't forget to like our Facebook fan page and share with friends. Thanks for listening to Sugar Coated Murder Podcast.